What the fuck? I don't know why it's so choppy.
It's all good.
So that's my intro. I'm gonna not start over the recording, but see if that'll
Okay.
make a difference. Oops. You there?
Yep.
Awesome. I think we're good to go.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. I might have to do this intro once or twice just because.
Okay. No worries.
All right. Um, all right. Thanks for tuning in today. I got a great guest for you. Her name's Amy. Want to say hi to the listeners, Amy?
Hello.
Hey, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, you bet.
So, quirky fact about Amy, just to let you guys know, or a fun fact about Amy, she was crowned Miss Homeless by Tent City back in 2012.
Yes,
So,
that's true.
congratulations.
Thank you.
It's quite the accomplishment, eh?
I wore that crown with a badge as a badge of honor.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. So I like to start off every episode the same, and that's what are you grateful for today and why?
I'm grateful to be able to do what I want with my life. Like I never thought that I would get to do the things that I'm doing today. Yeah, I have my life back, and I never thought that I would get out of the situation I was in.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Um, do you want to start us off to kind of let our listeners know what your childhood was like, your upbringing? Did you have like the all American Canadian white picket fence family?
Pretty close, yeah. My parents split up when I was pretty young, and my mom, she just worked a lot to take care of my brother and I, and like I had it pretty good growing up. Like I didn't really have any trauma early on. Like I had pretty much the white picket fence growing up.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Were you close to your brother?
No, not at all. We fought like cats and dogs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. So I don't mean to pry. Like, where was your dad in this, or what happened?
My parents had just split up, so I did like weekend visits with my dad, visits in the summer and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was 10 years old when my parents split.
Yeah, I was pretty like I was in grade like I was pretty young when my parents split up. So yeah, it was just like weekend occasional visits, stuff like that.
Just kind of the normal. Then you kind of get
Yeah.
used to that.
Yeah.
Cool. What was your first time using like?
Well, I started using drugs right after I completed the DARE program. And I remember right from the get-go, I just it was like this light bulb had turned on, and I loved that feeling of not being in control. Like I don't remember the exact like first time that I drank or used or anything like that, but I know right from the beginning I liked it a lot.
Yeah. What was your introduction? What did you first? I don't know. What did you first? What's the word I'm looking for?
It was probably weed, probably stealing weed from my parents.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and then that quickly turned into alcohol and cigarettes and just whatever I could get my little paws on at the time.
Did your friends do it too, or were you kind of like just dabbling in it with yourself?
Oh yeah, it was I hung out with like an older crowd in school, so I was doing whatever they were doing, hanging out with the older badass kids.
Just trying to be cool, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. But I get it. You know what? I used to try and old soul. I used to think, right? And
Yeah, I got that a lot too.
yeah, it was just a cop out. I was just trying to. Yeah,
100%.
that's funny. Did you have problems in school?
Not really. Like I'd gotten suspended for doing ecstasy at school once, but like I liked school, like I was okay at it. So school was all right for me.
Yeah. Did you
Yeah.
graduate?
I partied too hard during diploma week and I didn't get my diploma, but I did
Well,
all of it up until like the last year of high school.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get you to pull that microphone in just
Oh,
a little
yeah.
bit closer.
Is that better?
That's much better.
Okay.
So I can hear you.
Yeah.
Hear you a lot better.
Yeah.
Did you sample a lot of different drugs in school?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. By the time I got into high school, I was like selling psychedelics. I'd done everything except like the really hard stuff, like there was nothing that was really off the table. Like whatever I could get, I was doing.
So was it a quick progression for you, or was it just experimental, or how did things go?
like at first it was pretty slow, you know, and then once I got once I was in my like mid to later teen years and I had more access to things, I was doing like everything under the sun, you know, like I met a guy on the street who asked me if I liked LSD, and then he quickly turned me over to the whole like world of psychedelics, doing like ketamine, GHB, all the like more like I don't know, intense party drugs, I guess.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So you're in the party scene. Were you in the rave scene at all, or
No, more so the punk rock scene, like drinking.
cheers?
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, drinking outside of punk shows, doing blow and whatever else I could get my hands on.
Fair enough. You
Yeah.
know, you got good taste in music, right?
Yeah, thanks.
No. So after school, so you started doing that when you were 16, 17.
Mhm.
After school, did you find a job right away to support, or
No, I got kicked out of my childhood home right after high school. Yeah, then I started doing meth right out of high school. You know, within a year of graduating, I had gotten kicked out. I was living at a guy's house who introduced me to meth, and that just became my whole world after school.
do you remember your first time doing meth?
Oh yeah.
Well, I can share with us what that was like.
There was a working girl who was at the house, and she remember the first time I smoked it, my whole body was just like vibrating, and like I let her do my makeup for like 4.5 hours, you know, like it was just I don't know, it was just so intense, and I just like I loved it so much, you know, and like right from that point on, it was like a brick wall. It hit my life, and that was the only thing I cared about after that.
I remember my first experience, and I shared with this on my very first episode. Was
Mm.
doing it, and I was laying in bed at 2:30 in the morning, and I look at the alarm clock, and I'm like, I don't understand why people like this. Like, I feel normal.
Mm.
And then looking back, I'm like, you know what's fucking scary?
Yeah.
I feel normal. you know,
Mhm.
and then right then there, in hindsight, it's like, well, there's a red flag. You know what?
Big time.
Yeah. So from that point on, what was life kind of like for you?
It was chaotic. It was terrifying, you know? Like I found myself in a horrifically abusive relationship with that guy where it was he was very like mentally ill, and he it was like mental and physical and sexual abuse, and I would just do anything for dope at that point in my life, you know? Like I had pushed all of my friends away, I'd pushed my family away, and the only thing I cared about was that relationship and getting high, you know? I suffered through like a lot of abuse in that relationship, and I don't know, all I cared about was getting high, so nothing else mattered. Like I'd kind of given up on myself, you know, and I spent my time dumpster diving and fighting with my boyfriend. That's like all I did.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
With speed, like once you got introduced to speed, was that your drug of choice, or did you kind of dabble in different ones?
No, that was it. Once I did speed, I stopped doing everything else. Up until I started doing speed, I was like I was drinking, I was doing K, I was doing coke, I was doing G, and as soon as I started doing speed, that was it.
That was your one
That
love,
was
one.
it. Yep, my one true love. Yep.
Sad but true, eh? Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure you're not the only one who can identify with that. Like, I think a
Right.
lot of us can understand what that feeling feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever try quitting on your own?
Yeah. I after I lost that apartment with that guy, I was on the streets, and every time, like sometimes I would get robbed on the streets or something really bad would happen, I would check into detox and be like, okay, I this sucks. I don't want to do it anymore, you know, and I would go to detox, I'd sober up for a little bit, try treatment, and then every time I would fatten up a little bit, get some sleep, I would forget about how bad it was when I had checked into detox, and I'd go right back out, and I could never string more than a couple days together without going back out.
Makes sense. What were some of your bottoms along the line then? Or do you want to take us through maybe some, share with the listeners, share with me some of the shitty situations that you put yourself in? Or
Yeah, I I got kidnapped one time and pushed out of a moving vehicle. You know, I had gotten my tax return, and I was staying in a women's shelter at the time. And I'd gotten my tax return to get myself an apartment, and someone at the shelter had found out that I had gotten a tax return, and they had coerced me into getting kicked out of the women's shelter, and then they kidnapped me and drove me all around town, and ended up pushing me out of a moving vehicle and stealing my purse, you
wow.
know? Yeah.
Something tells me that tax return wasn't very big either. If you're
It
living
was
that,
like $1,000, you know, but it was gonna get me out. It was gonna give me some freedom from that homeless life, you know.
fair enough. Were you always homeless, or did you try like being a productive member of society?
There was a 6 month span where a friend of mine had graciously let me move into her house, so I'd had like 6 months of well, not sobriety, but 6 months off of meth. I lived at her house, but I wasn't allowed to do speed, so I just did party drugs and drank again. I just kept switching that DOC back and forth with meth, and then I relapsed on meth, and I just moved back to the streets. So there was a little bit of time, but not a whole lot.
Yeah. What would you say your bottom was? Like, what was your bottom this time around?
This time around, it was a fentanyl overdose, and I didn't even like down. I didn't like opiates. So getting so drunk that I took drugs from a stranger that I didn't like, that I had no tolerance for, and that I don't even remember taking. Honestly, like that overdose was my bottom this time.
Yeah. So what happened after that? Actually, you know what? I want to backstep here for a
Okay.
second. So with our intro here, I want to touch on this one. The queen or the how did you earn that crown, Miss Homeless of 2012?
Well, I yeah, I was always making things out of bike tubes, and like, just like, I called it trash fashion. Like, I was like, anytime I'd go into a dumpster and I'd find cool clothes, I'd always step out of the dumpster with like these nice clothes that I binned behind a fancy apartment building or something. And yeah, somebody had told me that I was the best dressed homeless person in Tent City, and that's how I won the crown.
He's keeping it classy, eh?
Yeah, yeah.
That's funny. Okay, so going back here, you went to rehab a few times,
Yep.
and obviously you weren't ready at that point to stay clean, right? And then we did the fentanyl overdose, and you say that was your bottom. From that point, after you did that, did you have to, like, were you taken to the hospital, or did somebody Narcan you?
Yeah, the people I was with, like, I'd met these people at like Circle K at like 2 in the morning, and they had Narcaned me 3 times, and then the paramedics Narcaned me again, and yeah, they took me to the hospital, and like, at the hospital, I realized that was it. Like, I had given up at that point.
Did you check yourself into rehab there, or did somebody take you?
No, not this time. This time I didn't go to treatment. I just called someone that I knew in the program the next day, and started going to meetings, and I didn't do treatment this time.
Yeah. What's your clean date today?
August 23rd, 2019.
23rd. So you're coming up on almost 3 years.
Yeah, I'm like 2.5 right now.
Awesome.
Thank
Congratulations.
you.
What was the hardest part coming around this time? Like, did you have a hard time? Well, you said you were here. I keep babbling, and I have
It's okay.
sometimes have a hard time spitting out the same question. Um, Let me just try to find the right words for this one. Coming around this time, going to meetings. How many meetings do you go to?
Currently?
I know, like when you first. I want to. I
Oh,
want to go through this first year in
oh yeah.
recovery with you and some of the difficulties, so that way, you know what, some of our listeners can identify with.
Yeah.
It's a struggle the first year,
Yeah.
or it can be, right? And I want them to know they're not alone. I'd like you to share your experience with that.
Yeah, so in the beginning, I was told there were some suggestions to go to 90 meetings in 90 days, and I didn't understand how that was going to work because I was already working full time and part time on the weekends. My part time weekend job is pretty sporadic, but there were some weeks where I worked 6 or 7 days a week, and I still made it to 90 meetings in 90 days. I went to a meeting every single day, and it kept me busy. Like, there was no time to think about drugs or alcohol if I was busy every day. It was like, wake up at 5 a.m., work, go to a meeting, go home, go to bed, repeat every single day for 3 months. And in that time, I don't know, I let go of a lot of those old friends, and I started to make new connections, and I just it gave me a new routine.
That makes sense. Like structure is huge, you know.
It's so huge.
Yeah, I needed that routine. Like for me, when I first got sober, I used to go to 3 meetings a day for the first four
Yeah.
months. Yeah, I would go to a 10 o'clock meeting. That way, I had something to do, get up, get moving. I would walk over to a neuter right after that meeting, and then I would go to one in the evening, and that's what I needed to do. And I'd probably nap in the afternoon too, just to kind of like fill that time
Yeah.
because fuck, what else was I gonna do, right? I had to try and like be productive or
Mhm.
distract myself so that way I wasn't tempted to go back out.
Yeah, staying busy was one of the most important things for me, because like, anytime in early recovery that I was bored, I was thinking about using. So I just tried to fill all of my time with as much recovery as I could, and that meant going for coffee before meetings, going for dinner after meetings. Like, I've never drank as much coffee in my life as I did in early recovery, but like, it kept me busy, and it helped me make friends. So
Awesome. Did you find it hard to like reach out to people?
At first it was a little awkward, but like, you can only spend so much time around people without kind of getting to know them, and that made it a lot easier to reach out to them.
Yep, that makes sense. um, Sorry, I'm just trying to think
That's
here.
okay.
You know, I'm trying to think. I don't have my cheat sheet in front of me for some questions to ask you.
You want this one?
No, I got a
Okay.
big one. I got a big one here.
All right.
So, um, what was one of the biggest challenges you found? That first year.
That first year, um, sticking with it even when I didn't know what my life was going to look like, like I thought it was going to be so boring, and then I just stayed so busy that there was no time to be bored. Also letting go of my old friends, like it's nothing against anybody personally, but like just realizing that like once I took the drugs and alcohol away, there wasn't as much there as I thought there might be. So really just like letting go of all my old ideas, letting go of how I used to live, and just like embracing this new way of life.
That's a good way of putting it too. Like embracing it and
Yeah.
welcoming it, and
Yeah.
yeah, that's one thing I like to tell people too. Is what, like that fear, like embrace it, right? It's supposed to be scary and it's supposed to be new. Like we're used
Mhm.
to fucking using forever. Like
Yeah.
everything sober is new and it's scary,
It's
and
terrifying.
you gotta embrace it. But
Yeah.
so rewarding and such a better way of life, eh?
Yeah, just being brave and like courageous, you know what I mean? Like just pushing through, even though it's scary, because like at the in the end it's so much better.
Do you remember what motivated you, or what was like your fire to like stay vigilant?
I didn't want to die.
Good
Like
answer.
it's like when they talk about jails, institutions, and death. Like I hadn't been to jail personally, but everyone that I hung out with had either was in jail or had been to jail. I'd been in rehabs and detoxes, so I'd been in institutions, and like I'd come so close to death so many times that like this, and like when I overdosed, I thought that I had my drug problem licked, like I had switched from doing all these drugs and alcohol to just alcohol. And in a blackout moment, I took drugs and I almost died. So it was just like, yeah, letting go of all of that.
Makes sense. Um, did you have any goals that you wanted? Was there anything that you talked about doing an active addiction that actually you did in recovery?
Yeah, dude, I really wanted to get heavily tattooed, and here I am. I wanted to get my license. I've been driving for about 6 months now. I wanted to travel. I went on one international trip in October with my sponsor, and I'm going to the States in May with my boyfriend.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, tattoos and traveling. I'm getting a car. It's like I never these are things I always wanted to do, but like I could never save money. I could never get ahead. I could never do the things that I wanted to do because I was so like enslaved by like the chains of my addiction.
Oh, I totally know.
Yeah.
I totally know. It's those goals are achievable today, right?
Yeah.
And anything you want is possible as
Yeah.
long as we don't pick up that drug or drink, right?
100%.
Um, your first year cake. In the last 2.5 years, what has been the most rewarding part you would find?
Building those relationships with my family again. Like today, like after this, my mom trusts me enough to give me keys to her house. She's out of town, so I got to go water her plants. I talk to my brother on almost a daily basis. I'm making an effort to be more of a part of my family today, and like that has been like so rewarding. Like seeing them come to my birthdays, like seeing that look on their face when I do something awesome and they're so proud, and just like showing up, being there, being present, because I was just like I was foobar for so long, like just getting to be there and be with them is great.
I don't know if you guys can't really see this, but you should see the excitement. Like if you
Aw.
can't hear, I can see the excitement when we're
Yeah,
when we're talking about recovery and the gifts of recovery, right? So
so good.
it's an amazing thing. Any goals you're working on today?
Yeah, I'm going back to school. I had done okay in school, and then like I said, I had partied so hard during diploma week that I had not gotten my diploma. So next year I'm going to be enrolling in my diploma program. We're going to be redoing grade 10, 11, and 12, and then I'd like to go to university for horticulture.
Nice.
Yeah, something in the sciences, either horticulture or like veterinary tech, something like that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
That's cool.
plants and animals.
Do you got it?
It's what I wanted to do when I was 5, and now I get to do it.
That's funny how that works, eh?
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing. That's amazing. You got any animals? It's a little off topic, but plants and animals.
Yeah, I got lots of houseplants that are doing great. My cat has made it to 5 years old, and like now I get to buy him that expensive food that I could never even dream of. Like he eats better than I do, and like that's all. It's just such a gift.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We're able to give back and take care of other
Oh,
people and other things, right?
yeah.
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 This plant here that we got here, this one's 7 years old.
It's
Like
doing great.
it's I could give it a little more love. I got to get it a light for it, but
Fair enough.
it's a 7 year. I've had it for 7 years now.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and the fact that it's still alive is pretty crazy.
Right?
Do you have any role models in your life today? Any
Yeah,
mentors?
other people in the fellowship, you know. So my current sponsor is someone that I used to do drugs with. He was one of my drug dealers, and now he's my sponsor, and I actually live with them, you know. So like I have, and like just all of the people in the rooms, you know, like seeing that. I even like I look up to that newcomer who came in and is like absolutely just as disheveled as I was, you know, and like that is like starting to understand and like pick it up and is like doing what they can to give that back to the community, you know. Everyone in the rooms is an inspiration.
Awesome. You said like sponsor is your mentor. How important is it to sponsorship, or what role did that play in your recovery and does still play in your recovery?
It is one of the most important things in my recovery, you know, because this like 12 step fellowships, they exist because people get like it's you go through 1 through 12, you do the steps and then you carry that on with other people, you know, and like I can do as many sets of steps as I want myself, but unless I'm carrying that message on, like this is a it's like a continued program for the rest of my life, you know, like I can't wait to be that old biddy with 35 sponsees, you know. It's taught me so much about myself and this program and about how this works, you know.
First year recovery or relationships in recovery? What?
Not in the first year, absolutely not. You know, like my story is really characterized by like toxic relationships. Like I would see somebody in active addiction with red flags and I'd be like, "Oh, come here. Can I have some, please?" You know, and like I was just as toxic myself, you know. I hadn't been sober since I was like 10 years old when I got clean, you know. So taking that time to really just like focus on myself, my recovery and like learn to love myself again, you know, because like I stayed in those toxic relationships because I didn't have any respect for myself, you know, like I just let toxicity control my life. And like today I took about a year and a half away from relationships, and today I'm in like a really healthy like positive relationship, and it's just like it's incredible, it's so easy, you know, because like I've done that work on myself and I'm happy, you know.
It's nice to be able to look in the mirror today and like love the person you see, right?
It's so good, like it's one of the best things in the world, you know.
We got to work towards that. That doesn't happen
It
overnight.
does
Like,
not happen overnight, and it took a lot of work, you know. And like when someone told me to stay out of a relationship, I was like, "There's no way I'm gonna go a year without getting any D. Like that's not gonna happen." And like honestly, other than quitting drinking and drugs, it's the best thing I ever did for myself, and I'm so grateful that I followed that suggestion.
I used to call this the single life, the simple life,
The
right?
simple life, yeah, things are easy.
Easier, anyways.
Easier, yeah, for sure.
Um, anything you're passionate? What are you passionate about today?
Cycling, I love cycling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just joined a cycling club, so I'm gonna be doing like group rides with people. I don't know, it's something that I did before my addiction and during my addiction, you know, but I was like in my addiction, I was just that tweaker on a Hello Kitty bike, pulling a shopping cart behind me, you know, and like today, like I saved up in my first year, I bought myself a really good road bike and like it's what I live for, you know what I mean? I love it to my core.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Makes me smile to hear that, right? Like
Yeah.
that ambition and that passion, right?
Yeah,
Like,
and now I like there's this cycling app that we use, and today I steal fastest times from like triathletes, you know.
wow.
And like on my beginner like entry level road bike and my like watermelon helmet. You know what I mean? I'm like just here for fun, you know.
Does your helmet really matter that much, like for aerodynamics?
It does. You know,
Really?
and I've since graduated from the watermelon helmet and have a bit more aerodynamic helmet, but yeah, it does help.
That gives you that extra 3 seconds,
Yeah,
eh?
yeah.
That's funny. Reflecting back, do you think relapse is planned? Like compared to what you did before, compared to now, do you think relapse is planned? And
It depends on the situation. Like there's definitely relapses that are planned, even if someone doesn't realize like the procession of that thought pattern, you know. But I definitely think there's so many warning signs of when it's going to happen, you know. Like if I start to neglect certain things in my program, then I know something might happen, you know. Like I have to be vigilant about doing all of the things that keep me away from that. And like today I don't have that obsession to use anymore, so I know if those thoughts start creeping back up, then I know I'm in a danger zone.
yeah, and you can kind of see, you can see the difference, right?
Oh yeah.
Awesome. Do you have any life mottos that you like to Do you have any life mottos?
Life mottos? I don't know. What just recovery ones, I guess. Like one day at a time, God's will, live and let live. I don't nothing of my own really. It's all just regurgitated program stuff.
But that's hers. I love those little slogans.
It's yeah.
Like that's the shit. When they say keep it simple, I had to keep it simple. Like I needed just to dumb it down so simply that was it,
Yeah,
because
it
I
helps.
couldn't handle friggin' the 164 pages of the big book, right? Like trying to remember that. Like you tell me a fucking little sentence that I can say in one breath, like I can implement that into my life.
Yeah.
So I've since then I've picked up a few other ones. Like the one that I really love today is fear is the edge of your comfort zone, and on the other side of
Ooh.
that is growth.
Ooh, that's a good one. I haven't
Yeah,
heard that before.
yeah, that's my push. And then the other one that I'm really trying to live by today is don't be a person of success, be a person of value.
Nice. That's
And
great.
that's kind of like what I'm trying to do with my life today, or a different
Yeah.
perspective on things. Um, what do I want to ask you this time? Um, Self care. What does self care look like to you?
Self care is making sure that I do nothing for an entire day at least once or twice a month. Like with I work multiple jobs and sponsorship and all of the other things. I have to make sure that I take some time for myself. Like most days, like sometimes I have to really schedule time for myself just to like decompress and like catch up on TV or just like take a bath, and like self care is so much more about than just like taking a bath or getting my nails done or getting my hair done. It's about really just making sure that I'm good. Like self-care for me, another thing that I do is I do meal prep and I try to eat really healthy, so like cooking that really awesome meal, eating those extra vegetables, like that makes me feel good and it makes me feel like I'm doing good for myself.
Feeds the soul, feeds the body, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes
I
sense to
mean,
me.
I'm not perfect. I still eat cheeseburgers every now and then, but like who doesn't?
I'm guilty,
Yeah,
guilty
yeah.
right here. Yeah. So yeah, I'm guilty of that one. I can't even lie about it. What are some healthy habits you've created since getting clean?
I quit smoking cigarettes. I guess I vape now, but like getting off the cigarettes was good. I remember the first time before I started driving, I had to run for the bus and I could run those whole 8 blocks. Like that felt pretty good. And just diet and exercise. Like I don't like not anything, no specific diet, just like eating healthy and not like punishing myself for eating that cheeseburger. Like do what you want to do and just like regular exercise is huge. Makes me feel good.
Yeah. Who's your biggest support in your life today?
Biggest support in my life today, I'd say my sponsor and I don't know, just people in the fellowship. Like I don't think I could really point it to one person.
Hmm.
Yeah.
What's one of the biggest myths you've had? What was the biggest myth you had about getting sober that has been squashed or proven wrong?
That it was going to be boring
That's what everybody says.
and that I thought it was going to be so boring and I would never have anything to do. But since I got into recovery, my life has never been busier. Like anytime someone asks to hang out, I'm like, okay, I'll pencil you in 2 weeks from now at 3 p.m. Like I don't know, my life is just like it's very full and it's very busy. And yeah.
Well, thanks for fitting all of us in today.
Of course, of
So
course.
really appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime.
Where do you see your life in the next 5 years?
Hopefully trimming trees at the Mutart
At the
unit.
Mutart. That's in
Yeah.
Edmonton, Alberta, people.
Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully, working with plants or in a vet's office or something like that. Hopefully, be done school by that time, but who knows?
Yeah. How oh, I don't even know what I was gonna say there. I think I'm gonna have a couple more questions here for you.
Yeah.
Um, what do I want to ask you? Anything you want to share with us?
I don't know. It's hmm.
Actually, I got one for you here.
Okay.
So just because that's easy for me to edit it out quick, I'm like, I'll just.
Yeah, that's for sure.
What do you got on your bucket list?
My bucket list.
Yeah.
More traveling, more tattoos. I like to get involved with like cycling, like bike racing. Like I just joined a cycling club this year. I'm not sure if I'll be doing any racing this year, but that's something I definitely want to do in the future. Like maybe learn how to swim and get back into running and do triathlons or something like that.
Wow. You got any recovery tattoos?
Recovery tattoos? Not like specifically recovery related, but I do have a matching best friend tattoo with a girlfriend of mine. We have our recovery birthdays are in the same week, so we got our recovery tattoos together, I guess.
Cool. I got a matching tattoo with my wife, the puzzle piece, and we got the puzzle piece, but what I wanted to do is get the stick man, like, with the arrow and then
Yes.
shooting the other person or getting hit by the arrow.
That's
But,
great.
yeah,
Yeah.
I wanted a stick man like that, but it didn't
Ours are
work out.
little cowboy frogs with pajama pants on.
Cowboy frogs.
Yeah, little frog with a cowboy hat and pajama pants.
Nice. Nice. Who came up with that idea?
We've been kind of bouncing off ideas for a while, and that's what we settled on. We couldn't make a decision, so it was like, "Okay, I'm choosing this one," and that's what we got.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I think that's pretty much gonna wrap us up for
Okay.
this. What's one thing you'd like to share with the listeners to like carry us out?
Yeah, I don't know if it seems daunting or scary, like it is daunting and it is scary, but like my life today is so good. You know, I never thought that I would be as happy or healthy as I am today with like a great group of friends that I like that are there for me when I'm good, when I'm bad. Like it doesn't matter, you know, like today I surround myself with people who are trying to move forward in life, you know? So like if anybody feels like they're super stuck or they just don't know what to do, just like try meetings, you know what I mean? And like if that doesn't work for you, find something that does, you know, just don't give up. You know, like I had given up so many times and I thought that I was going to die on the streets like pushing a shopping cart with a needle in my arm, you know, and like I never thought that I would be as happy as I am today. So just keep trying. You know, it might not happen the first time, it might happen the 10th time, but just keep trying.
I agree 100%. Never keep coming back, they say, and
Yeah.
100%, right?
Yeah.
100%. The miracle will happen, right? So,
Yep.
and you get out of it what you put into it, right?
Exactly.
So, awesome. Well, I just want to really thank you for being here. I
Yeah.
appreciate the time. I appreciate you sharing your truth with me, with the listeners, and it's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Matt.
Awesome. And for the rest of you guys out there, I just want to leave you with this like I do every other episode. Make memories, take lots of pics, and show the world your smile. Thanks.